Today we are going to do monster painting. Now in the series we talk about different types of monsters. Number one is the aggressive or angry monster, and the other monster is the snail monster or the passive monster. Those are things that everybody has in their mind and has to use self-control to control. So the angry monster is getting out of control with your actions, and we talk about the raft, which is I am responsible for how I act, feel, and think. Well, when you talk about anger, it's okay to think angry and feel angry because everybody gets angry. Where we've got to be careful is in acting angry. So that's where we've got to slow down our reactions, take a turtle time out, and not let those monsters affect our relationships. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got the passive monster, and that's people who don't say what they need to say and they don't speak up, and so they get a lot of anger rocks and resentment because they're not able to have actions. And so for those people, we need to make it so that they have that courage to speak. So that's why I was so excited when I found this project in my research. So what you'll need is cups and water, food coloring of your choice, what colors, straws, and paper, and then you need a big fat Sharpie for some of it. So what you do is you decide on the colors that you want, and you put 3 drops into the water. Really simple. So this is a watercoloring as opposed to paint. Now I chose black because I kind of think of monsters as dark. And then I did blue and I also did violet. Great. Then you just take your straw, give them a little stir. I'm not going to mix the straws because I don't want to mix my colors. So I just have 1 straw per. You could also use a little spoon, of course, anything that you'd like. Okay, I'm going to start with my violet monster. So with this straw, you just take it with the straw and you put it into our watercolor mixture, and then you pop on the dots. And you can actually just hold the top of the straw and see how it holds the watercoloring. And you can kind of just like spread that around the paper. Now here's the fun part. Then you take your straw and you blow. And you get your monster looking just however you want it. So you can blow it around the other way if you want, however you want to do it. All right, I'm gonna make another monster for my page with the blue. This one, I'm not gonna just let go. I'm gonna kind of keep it and kind of draw it out a little bit of where I want it to be. And then I'm gonna do the blowing. That's kind of the cool idea here, is that monsters kind of make you out of control. And so when you're blowing, you're not quite controlling the paint. And when you talk about how the brain works when you're angry, the bottom part of your brain, remember this is in book 5 in anger management, but the bottom part of your brain is where your monsters live, in your limbic system or your lower brain. And then this is your amygdala or your trigger, and this is what triggers the anger. And then this is your prefrontal cortex or your smart brain. So we want to keep our smart brain on. And a couple ways we teach you to do that is name it to tame it. So name the feeling, because when you move from feelings to words, that switches your brain from right brain thinking to left brain thinking, and it can turn your smart brain back on. Another way you can do it also is math, just doing math in your brain. So it's fun that these monsters have this blowing because you can't quite control where it's going, and that's kind of like the monsters in our mind. So you want to make sure you take a time out when you're like that. Okay, so I've placed the watercolor down, and now I'm going to do some blowing. really fun. And then my last monster, my black monster. It's cool. So it ends up just kind of looking like blobs for a minute. We've got to set that aside to dry. And then in the meantime, you take just a piece of paper and we're gonna just make some eyeballs for our monsters. You can also buy the googly eyes, but I didn't want you guys to have to do that. I wanted this to be a really easy project that you could do anywhere. So you can buy things for it if you want. And you know, monster eyes are kind of crazy, so that's why I'm making them. Okay, so I just made 4 monster eyes. I made them all kind of different for my monsters. And now we're just gonna cut those out. And it's easier when you're cutting out just to cut around them and then do the detail after. That's another thing when I've been working with this project with younger kids. I let them do the bigger cutting, and then I can do more of the fine motor cutting that's needed if they're not competent with fine motor scissor skills yet. So that was fun. So we just cut them all out first. And then we're gonna just cut around. Really simple, easy, fun project to talk about monsters and anger management. And love teaching about anger management because the younger you can control your monsters in your brain, the better. Speak up when you need to. Don't be a snail monster. Don't hold resentment. And if you're angry and upset, take a break, take a turtle time out until you get your smart brain back on and then talk about the problem. Okay, I got all my eyes cut out and I have to wait for my little monsters to dry. So I will, you can also do some dabbing too. If you want your color to not look like a watercolor, you want it to be a brighter color, you could also use some non-toxic tempera paint. Tempera paint is safe for kids because it is non-toxic, so that's nice. So if you want it to be brighter, then you can use the tempera paint in water mixture as well. So whatever works better or whatever you have on hand. So you can do the tempera paint or you can just do the really simple food coloring.